Yeah, we're live. We're here to review what did we just see, and importantly, how on earth did India choke? I just don't know, to be honest. Like the too many emotions, too many feelings. All of us are going through. We haven't had the time to process this. We were like, you know what? आराम से अपने व्यूअर्स के साथ आराम से हम सब मिलके डिस्कस करते हैं कि भाई हमने क्या देखा यहाँ पे. Gurkha, let's start with you. Like, did you again same question as yesterday? Did you have the slightest of ideas that India could lose this game and end up losing this way?
Honestly, no. I remember second day when we were talking, I said I expect a finish on the third day. Yesterday also I said that I think if India take the new ball early and wrap up England in 50 odd runs, they could really chase that target, and they did get to. Nikhil said that 200 is the maximum that they can achieve, and they eventually did get to 200. But just to start off with, it was a surprise to see India delay the new ball. They waited 10 overs for it. I can understand that Bumrah wanted to bowl with the older one, but once you had both the spinners on, you had to take the new ball. And then just the fields, it did not look like today in the morning and yesterday also that India felt that they could dismiss Ollie Pope. It did not look like that they felt that, and right throughout you right throughout India were bowling since that Folks and Olipo partnership. You just felt that India were too afraid of giving or giving out boundaries, which is why the fields that you had. I mean, today Oli Pope could have taken single wherever he wanted or as per his wishes, because there was hardly any closing fielder. Forget having closing fielders, there were hardly fielders inside the perceived 30-yard circle, because there is no real 30-yard circle in test matches to stop those singles. So yeah, once that happened, and then the batting, we have seen this bunch not look the most confident versus spin under pressure, and that's what happened today. I mean, I still feel that just on the basis of skills, India should not have lost 20 wickets to this spin bowling attack, because they did not play their best pacer. Their best spinner was injured. One of the wrist spinners were literally struggling to land the ball where he wanted. And today also, Rehan did not have the perfect control. And then we saw how Hartley was taken for runs in the first inning. So to lose to this England side after taking a lead of 190, I have no doubt in my mind this is the worst Indian Test defeat that I have seen at home. I can't look further. It's really difficult to imagine any Test match that India have dominated this much at home and lost like this, because the last time the maximum lead that India have had at home and lost a Test match was 65, and that is back in 1964. So a record of 60 years being broken today. Certainly not a good day for Indian cricket.
Fair enough, Nikhil bhai. What about you? How have you been able to sort of process those thoughts and then just sort of if you had to sort of summarize the game in your own words and what we saw today in particular, because it was just absolutely bizarre to say the least.
Uh, I would say not for the first time India have waited and they kept waiting. I mean, this is something we've discussed in almost many key games for India. Waiting for head to get out to good length balls outside of, waiting for the bad balls maybe in the final, waiting for England to make the mistake. Again, at the hint of pressure, I feel sometimes the side takes it very, very differently, which is weird because you feel this isn't a side that is new, or it has too many people who are very new to the setup. They are all very experienced. Then again, there are a lot of points where many will feel ki, okay, whether the first innings ke runs, whether it's the innings of the last innings where you got bowled out for 202. But I felt if you allow a side to be 190 down and then go up 230, no matter the conditions, I think you have done something really drastically wrong in terms of no discredit to anyone and say, okay, you're not crediting Pope enough. I am. But I just feel India were waiting far too much and they didn't trust themselves, or just it just feels very weird to see this lack of plan कि भाई ये नहीं चल रहा तो क्या करेंगे. जैसे आज I know Paji also mentioned about today morning, you felt they're waiting for a mistake. They're thinking now he'll come out swinging or looking for a big one and it will not work out. But what are you doing to create that pressure? So I think India have waited far too much, and I hope they don't wait for large turners now, because then it could really backfire even further. So there is lots to play for.
There definitely is lots to play for, and yeah, I mean that's sort of the assumption most of us are going ahead with. Ki boss, अगले चार match में तो we are going to see rank turners, but in all fairness, I don't think that will help India because from what we've seen of Tom Hartley, and if they decide to go for the likes of Shoaib Bashir and have that pace troika, you never know, they themselves might be might fancy the chances of getting a win or two under their belt under rank turners, because we've seen that our batters have consistently struggled to play against spin. I was also on display today as well. But again, as usual, now that we've sort of had some time to talk about it, let's go chronologically. Let's start with the day. Also, before that, of course, match हमने एक बार दिखाई देते हैं in terms of what happened. Ollie Pope, fantastic 196, helped England reach 420, 101 runs scored in the first session today by England. Something not a lot of us expected. In fact, even जब हमने कल predict किया था, we were hoping कि 50-60 रन में उनको all out कर देंगे. In fact, our worst case scenario was कि अगर 100 रन बना ले, तो फिर we'll be chasing a target of you don't know 225, 250, and that could be difficult. This was our worst case scenario, and we were of course laughing it off and just saying, let's just discuss it so that that's also under the bridge. Really not to be the case. Bumrah was the pick of the bowlers for India. That almost paints a solid picture of how India's bowling has been so far in this game. India then batted and in response, chasing 231, were not able to make it. They lost by 28 runs. A lot of them got starts. Rohit Sharma 39. There was also KL. There was Akshar. Shubman Gill unfortunately missed out yet again. We will be talking about him as well. And yeah, we saw that bizarre run out of Ravindra Jadeja. And yeah, like brain fades, and eventually even Ashwin got out. And Siraj and Bumrah tried to provide some entertainment, but yeah, that was all there was to it, just entertainment. There wasn't a lot of hope left after Ashwin's dismissal towards the end. Coming back now to the game, before that, let's take a few comments. There are plenty of comments. I just don't know where to start from because it's just too many comments, and of course, there's a lot of anger. We understand the anger. We all are upset. We all understand that. So let me just try and take a few. Let's start with Gautam Nayak here. He says, I hope this loss will bring changes. The Indian management has always been conservative. I felt for a long time that Indian players are the worst players to spin compared to others. It's just that our spinners were miles better than the others, so the deficiency was taken care of. The refusal to sweep, to attack spinners, to innovate with fields, to come up with new plans, they are the reasons for this defeat. Nikhil bhai, again, agree with this. Where do you stand when it comes to this?
So it is you. I think all of us have discussed this at various points with some of these mentioned about how India just feel कि एक batting order change करने से you will find a way out. Okay, you will send Aksar higher up the order and that will just take care of it. It does not work out that way. It was very interesting that Tom Hartley said after the game that he saw Ashwin and Jadeja and then decided that they could take their time, not bowl so fast, not bowl too quick, and use the trajectory and lengths and all of that better. And invariably, India in the second innings, if you look at the pace, both Jadeja and Aksar were bowling in the higher 90s as opposed to Hartley who bowled in the lower 80s. तो 84 के आसपास उसकी एवरेज स्पीड है टॉम हार्टली की एंड जडेजा अक्सर बोल्ड इन 90s. तो जडेजा की पेस पे तो आई थिंक मैं आईपीएल से मैं बोलते ही आ रहा हूँ कि सी देयर आर टाइम्स व्हेन यू विन बट दीज थिंग्स आर नॉट क्वेश्चन. But now that things haven't worked out, you find all of this into picture. And something to also think about from England's lenses, though din pehle we were talking about how does preparing in UAE help them, does playing Tom Hartley helps them, should they have not played Jack Leach, given him more role. In 2 days everything is completely different. We wanted to give a longer rope for Pope. That guy's gone on to score 196. We were wondering about Tom Hartley. He's gone on to score 7. And not to forget, we had a Shamar Joseph special earlier in the day. So, Test cricket and the game is telling us that you have to be ready. I don't think India are ready enough for different scenarios. They just see the trust has to be there that we have a lot of people who are very experienced and with a lot of skills. But I think there is still something missing in terms of uh, what if this doesn't work? What are our other options? I think that's where I have found this the entire management to be like wanting and waiting. कि भाई, we don't have enough idea there.
we definitely don't have a lot of idea. I was just going through the quotes and what Stokes had to say, what Tom Hartley himself had to say. Like Nikhil Bhai was saying, it's almost ironic, so to say, and a bit of a bittersweet, aftertaste that कि भाई हमारे पास best spinners, and despite that we weren't able to perform to the best of our abilities. One more point, of course, a lot of our viewers have been making. I seem to have lost track of that comment. I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign. I'll take it positively. कि भाई इतने comments आ रहे हैं. It was by Greg. Gurkirat, I'll put that to you. He goes on to ask and question Rohit and Dravid, the duo. A lot has been made about them in the past. And we, again, we spoke about how Rohit Sharma tactically wasn't at his best across the test. The field placements yesterday or even in the first innings seem to be far too defensive, especially given that they have a spin troika, of the likes of Jadeja, Akshar, and Ashwin. How will you look at this? Again, I know it's just one test match and we probably shouldn't look at it in isolation, but it still begs a question right from then. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I like the start Gurkirat has come up with. Better than
it's
Gil Khushal.
it's not been a case of one test match, because I was just scrolling through a test match in from December 2022. It was in Bangladesh, where India were in a similar position. uh, they Bangladesh batted first. They were 3 or 4 down. Then you had Pant and Shreyas do some of the work, and India could have really taken a huge lead. Did not happen. And then when you looked like that India could close the game with the ball, they let the game slip, let Bangladesh get to a lead, and then they were again in trouble. Even that day, there were a couple of drop catches of Ashwin. Had those been taken, India would have lost in a similar manner like how they've done today. So we've gone at length and discussed how there's been a lack of plans post the plan A not working. And we discussed this yesterday also, that it should not just come down on Rohit or the coach, but it should also come from the bowlers, that what is really happening. But yeah, I mean, at some point of time, you will need to ask questions of the captain, that why is this pattern not being observed, and what is being done to change it. And I really think that the worst thing that India can do after this test match is go for rank turners, because if they do that, they're not learning anything, and they could very well then lose another test match, because we have seen that happen. We've seen that happen. Uh, Make no mistake, this India had really no business losing this test match. Nikhil's absolutely right when he said that when you've had taken a lead of 190, you have the opposition at 163 for 5. To let the opposition to get to a score like 420 is not really acceptable. And you have to see how those runs have come. Rehan chipped in with a decent cameo. Hartley chipped in, and Folks and Hartley actually got out due to the pitch, and not you could not really say that the bowlers earned those wickets. So at one point of time, it was completely looking that nothing's going to happen until unless wickets would be thrown away. So yeah, I mean, it's disappointing, and somewhere the buck has to stop, and you need to really ask questions of why the pattern is developing, especially with the bowlers. And I'm not sure now India, what changes will India make for the next test match.
Fair enough. And Nikhil Bhai, again, same question to you as well. In the earlier half of the day, we saw that, it was, of course, Rehan Ahmed and Ollie Pope in the middle. We expected them to bundle them out quickly, wickets le lenge jaldi. Of course, bowling had a lot to do with it. But again, the same question, the field settings, tactically, and also not just that. I know we aren't body language experts, like you say. It's not our job to sort of say, but you still know ki this wouldn't have been the case under Kohli. I don't know if we can make that statement, but what I can at least say for certain from what little I've seen, ki Kohli would never be that sort of, you know, lost, so to say. He would always be in the game. He would always be egging his bowlers on. He would be chirpy. He would be in the batter's face. How much of that and how much of I'm not saying we need that attitude, but you want your skipper to sort of be in the game. That did not seem to be the case. With Rohit Sharma, we've always associated him with be it lazy elegance, be it lazy running, be it even feeling very chilled out, very calm. How do you look at all of these points now? As a whole.
See, my simple point is it doesn't matter what your predecessor did or what the ones after you are going to do. My simple point is, do you come out and feel that, okay, under this captain, this is the way we are going to play? I said this in the past as well. You do not get that clear answer from Rohit and Rahul as a combination that this is the way they want to play. They can say things, and I'm not going to say what they say and what not. There are things that are said and not said. It's different, but see, as you said, I don't care if he doesn't speak a word to anyone. All I want is for him, management and the bowlers to be on a page where they should know that if this is not working, these are the five options that I have. And if these five options are not working, I would expect all of them to come together and again find a way. Okay, this is what we planned, it's not working. Let's again come together and figure another way out. I feel India just keep waiting. They again, it could be something, a line that Rohit said in his in his post match presentation, that India were not brave enough, and I think that's perfectly just a fair summary to sum up the entire management. Also, they are not brave enough to take the right selection calls at times. And again, there is a difference in between being brave and giving a test debut to Surya Kumar Yadav or taking him to World Cup. So you have to be very sure of that line also, but it also works with the ball. Okay, if Pope and Zach Crawley and Ben Duckett are going to reverse with me, what are my possible options? And this is not something that you can't anticipate. This is something that you should know. Okay, yeah, this is definitely most likely to happen. So what is your response to that? So I think India probably at times, I feel this management plays to perception more than the game. They feel कि, okay, England they will keep attacking, a chance will come, but it is not coming. So what are you doing then to create it? So I think that's where I feel Rohit and Rahul need to just take a step back, a few more steps back if you want to, and just figure out a way that, okay, what are our best plans? Because suddenly, with if Jadeja is injured, you are saying Aksar had an off game. Bumrah is the only guy who's taken wickets. Siraj, you did not use well at all. So there is no point judging Siraj. So what are you doing? Are you telling me that in Indian cricket at this point of time, if you take one or couple of players, you take Hardik Pandya out from the limited over setup, suddenly the team lacks options. You take Bumrah out, and okay, it's like, only Ashwin. So I think that's where I feel a lot of long-term planning has to be done. And again, this is not diversing; it's about having more options in your head as well. Okay, bhai, if this is not working, this is what should be done. Because say tomorrow Jadeja gets out of the system, do you even have a near next replacement for him? Because what it does is it then makes you think defensively. Then okay, I want to use him like this because he's new. I want to give him enough confidence and all of that. So I think this all has been a part of a problem that's been cultivating, and maybe this game will bring all of this to more light. Okay, don't take everything for granted. It will not always work out.
100%. And I'm genuinely, speechless at this point in time. I'm just going through the comments. A lot of interesting comments there. A lot of them trying to call out my apparent Kohli bias. I'm again. In all fairness, I'll also admit मेरा एक ही चीज के लिए bias है. वो एक चीज हटा दो या गुरकिरत, you can go on.
Yeah, I just want to add on the bit that okay, if nothing is happening, uh, we have seen captains sometimes try and stop the flow of runs. I can understand sometimes pitches being unresponsive and you are struggling hard to score those runs or to sort of get those wickets. But what are you then doing to stop those runs? Today, you have to look at the fields set by Stokes, wherein he sort of could anticipate and analyze that what are the shots a few
Likely to
players
play.
can play. Like when Shreyas was on strike, he had a cover, but that cover was somewhere in between, wherein if there's a drive, then
Right.
that cover fielder can sort of make sure that the ball's not going for a boundary and ensuring that it is also not a double. So that fielder was not really in a was not really in a single saving position, but he was sort of in a position where you always keep the batter in two minds that should I take that chance. And then you have to look at even in the first innings when Indian batters were batting, he knew that Rehan Ahmed has the tendency to bowl it short, so he had a sweeper a sweeper point many a times to make sure that it doesn't go for a four. So We discussed this in South Africa as well, that runs were flowing through the third man, but India did not have a third man. So it's been a common problem. It's been a common issue, and it just looks like that at times Rohit is bereft of ideas post Plan A, and it is not just about this test match. It is not just about the test format alone. It is something that has been a pattern across the formats, and it's been evident. Even those who have followed Mumbai Indians enough, they can also vouch for this template, not just for one season, but for a few seasons.
Harsh words those, but of course we need them right now because it's really becoming difficult to see how, you know how will the team management look at this. Of course, the one way of looking at it is, ki boss, we'll have to take this loss on the chin, prepare harder, be a lot more, sort of, let's not be complacent, to put it simply, because it almost seemed like they were being complacent, ki boss jo bhi hoga dekh lenge, 190 run ka lead hai already. Let's hope that won't be the case. Going forward is ideally how we would want the management to think, and not कि boss, you know what, the issue was with the pitch, और घुमाते इसको, और बड़ा रन टर्नर प्रिपेयर करते और फिर खिलाते, देखते हैं क्या होता है. So again, we can only hope what will happen. We can only speculate what will happen behind the scenes. But Nikhil bhai, you mentioned an interesting point about Tom Hartley and how, during the post-match presentation or other press conference, I'm not sure what was it, he mentioned about, the speeds he was bowling at in the first innings and how he sort of looked at Jadeja and Ashwin and took a leaf out of their playbook to understand, ki boss, ye speeds pe dalna hai. We have some numbers with regards to that. So Nikhil bhai, you can sort of take over here.
Yeah, so again, we are only going to pick in terms of what he said, that about bowling at a lesser speed. And just if you look at Tom Hartley, the speed difference is there right in front of you, and it's a decent enough difference because he extracted enough out of the surface as well. He's gone at in the 90s for the most part of it. 89.5 was his average KPH speed in the first innings, and it's dropped down to 84. For the rest, you see it's pretty much similar to what they were in the first innings. But what I feel at times is the difference with Jadeja and Akshar Patel, especially, is the speed at which they keep bowling very quick. Now again, they are all different and they all have their strengths, but it just tells you how learning on the go is something that's very very crucial. And for a guy to be able to do it on his debut, for all the flag that everybody is given, and we have also given to him in terms of for his first innings performance, but there too we felt that it was his usage more than Tom Hartley, the bowler we were after. Okay, bhai, how are you using him? So I think kudos to Tom Hartley to being able to uh, bowl that way. But here also I have something that I want both of you to answer and feel. I think how India played him also played a massive factor in terms of how he was able to bowl where he wants to. Because in the first innings, India did not allow him to settle. He always came in probably looking under pressure because, oh, I'm getting hit for runs. So I think it also tells you what has to be done, and it just makes you feel so irritated that, I mean, you did the exact thing in the very first innings. Why would you change so much, or move away from it so much when there is slight pressure? So that is something that I really hope Rahul and Rohit look at, because it's a sign that's been there from every single game that you pick out, the Bangladesh test or the Australia test or the WTC. Under pressure, why are you going defensive? Just be brave. It's okay. It is fine to lose as well. So well done to England for now.
No, on that bit about how India played Hartley, it's a very good point, because see, as a debutant, when you come on straight away, and you get start hitting for runs, you are really not looking to take wickets at that point of time. You are thinking, okay, how do I control this batter who's going to go after me? But right from India taking the field today, at many points of time you just had to look at Indian fielders and you felt like that, okay, they were the ones who were panicking more rather than the English team. You just had that impression, and when India came out to bat, it again felt that way, because the Indian batters were not using their feet as much against Hartley, which Jaiswal did, which just goes on to highlight how the kind of assault that Jaiswal had on Hartley played a huge part. And we've seen the impact of these assaults on a bowler many a times, and how it helps the entire team. So when you could see that Indian batters were far more circumspect. If anything, you would have expected them to again adjust, given how the ball was keeping low. That probably, because Indian batters don't play the sweep as much. Probably, for them to use their feet could have been the better option. And you also saw that whenever the English spinners overpitched, Indian batters were able to take some advantage of it. They were able to drive it. But outside of, those rank looseners or full tosses or overpitched deliveries coming from the spinners, Indian batters also did not try anything to disturb their lengths, and which is why there was no fear in the mind of the bowler in terms of trying what they wanted to do. So, and when those wickets started to fall, the first two wickets were down to good catches, but after that, you just felt that it's going to unravel in itself, and in ways you've seen before. So it was pretty much that.
Definitely, and Pope not just with the bat, those two catches as well, of Jaspal and Gill, very good catches at short leg, not easy those. And yeah, again, like I was saying earlier, Stokes in terms of the quotes he's given, like he's gone on to say that this is the best win for an English side in the Indian subcontinent. Hard to refute that. Genuinely hard to refute that. He's also sort of gone on to say that this is the best win under my captaincy. Ollie Pope has played the best knock I've ever seen by an English batter. Rohit Sharma has also sort of, gone on to heap similar praise on him. Kudos to Ollie Pope. Again, we were talking about, the rope for Pope and all of that stuff. He's clearly gone on to show that he has the goods to deliver. Now it'll be interesting to see if he sort of builds on this innings going forward in the series. There's still 4 more test matches. The series is not done and dusted by any means. We're only getting started. So that's why all's not done, all's not lost. In fact, there's a lot more to gain for both sides. So it'll be very interesting to see how things turn out in Vizag. Yeah, now it's time for us also to move on to the first segment, which of course, I forgot for a second, but of course, it's Showstopper. Again, in terms of stopping the show, there was no one, but Tom Hartley today who sort of, went on to take 7 wickets, went on to really choke the Indian batters. They well and truly struggled there. And not to forget, he also added value with the bat earlier on. He scores 34 runs in the second innings to follow up what he done in the first innings. Again, with the ball, he didn't have the greatest of days, but even in the first innings with the bat, he wasn't the worst. He scored 23 runs. I remember the 6 he hit off Ashwin. Handy batter. Add the 7 wickets to that. This is as good an all-round performance as it can get. An economy of 2.35 in a game where both sides scored in excess of 3 runs per over, to say the least. Nikhil bhai, this has been a fantastic performance. Not to forget that this is by a debutant.
Yeah, I can only remember all of our words and a lot of what was written in terms of why you need to play so much of FC cricket and everything. And everything is fair and fine. And even without the hindsight, I think the one thing that I'll definitely credit Tom Hartley for is being able to adjust on the go. I think it is one of the toughest things because you've seen that cause a problem with many sides. India have had problem. India have taken an entire test at times to get used to the right conditions to bowl it at a particular venue at the right pace to bowl. So for Tom Hartley to be able to go from being hammered everywhere along the ground, around the ground, to then bowling the way he did, very good control, wanting to bowl where he can. And again, you get that own luck by getting that big hitter out. So you get Jaiswal out early, it is setting you up to bowl where you want to. So I think very, very much in awe actually of Tom Hartley because you can envy because many people have struggled to adapt, and for him to be able to do it on debut also. So it speaks a lot of, it tells you a lot about the character of the person as well, that he's happy to change what did not work in the first innings, and then he was able to execute and end up with a 7 for. It almost validates everything that they did. Okay, this is why Stokes can easily say this is why I wanted him to bowl. In the first innings they got hit, he learned, and then he changed. So you can make your own narratives out of it. I feel Tom Hartley has just set this up nicely for India because whatever India do, India will have to play the perception of Tom Hartley also. So whether it is SOK in Pune or Kuhneman and others, you have now made yourself as a key part of the setup. कि जब discussion next होगा, you will have to figure a way out for Tom Hartley, and that is credit to him because this is not a rank turner. I think it is something that everybody has to remember. Okay, this win hasn't come on a lottery wicket where you could just bowl and take wickets. So it's a very hard earned win. after you were 190 behind. You don't win from there very often. So well done for being one of the key architects of it.
100%. Gurkhesh, what about you in terms of Hartley's performance with the ball today? We did speak about, how Indian batters, probably didn't play him as well as they should have and all of that. But all things said and done, he did definitely come up with a top-notch performance.
Yeah, cannot not give him enough credit because he deserves every bit of it. And it's a good thing that we brought out his batting as well, because I thought that was also key in sort of frustrating India and taking the target beyond reach. And the next test, definitely, there will be a lot of conversation as to how to play against him, what to do against him, because see, it's one thing to bowl when batters are not coming to attack you, but it's completely another to keep showing that control and keep bowling where he wanted to, because Rehan Ahmed couldn't. So, and to make that adjustment so quickly, and to some extent, you can also give him credit for a few wickets that he could bait the batters to come out and take that risk. And Rohit, to get Rohit's wicket, which I absolutely think was the turning point where I felt that that was the moment where England became favourites, because Rohit was batting very well, and to get him there on defense, it's not it's completely another thing to get Rohit out when he's looking to attack you, but to get Rohit on defense, and that is where the game was clearly in England's favour. And then to not slip up from there, get Akshar out, was just brilliant. I mean, to keep bowling that length, which was not full enough to drive and not short enough to go back and smother the spin, is sometimes the key on these pitches. And to do that repeatedly is something that requires a lot of credit, because you have to also understand that he doesn't have the muscle memory for such pitches, which is easily a gift that Ashwin, Jadeja, and Akshar, all of them possess. Even Leach possesses that because he's been on these shores. Even Root has that. So to make that adjustment is just outstanding. You have to tip your hat off to him.
100%. In fact, a lot of them also talking about baseball and how that sort of eliminated the fear of failure. As Akhil Nair goes on to say, they play positive cricket under pressure. In fact, to quote Stokes, he went on again during the post-match presentation. He went on to say that right now there's no fear. We don't mind losing the game. We'll sleep at night, wake up, have another crack at life, and move on. So because they've been able to eliminate that fear of failure in the setup, it helps them play this positive brand of cricket, this aggressive brand of cricket. Of course, all of us have been in some sense talking about it and making fun of it, some might say. That does not mean that we haven't sort of addressed or spoken enough about what good has come out of it. I for one definitely thought ki baseball would probably meet its end in India. Clearly I've also been made to eat my words, happy to admit that, but it made for entertaining viewing, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters to me. Like I said yesterday, if I'm going to spend my Sunday watching day 4 of an India England cricket match, it better be entertaining. And yeah, towards the end, I'll have to say I got my money's worth. I was able to enjoy the game, and yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's a bitter pill to swallow as a Team India fan, probably. But even then, it's always good when you meet your match, when you see players coming good, when you see unknown names coming forward and putting their name there. Ki boss, hum bhi hai. We'll also make a statement. Let's take a few more comments, of course, before we move on to the next segment. Adhyan goes on to say, what does he say? Yeah, he goes on to say Mayank was sidelined with an average of 40 plus with 2 double hundreds. Yes, his away record is poor, but the same goes for many others in the setup. Vihari was sidelined too, different, for Stokes and all of that. Uh, what do you have to say for this, Nikhil bhai? Let's have you. I know for a fact कि मयंक अग्रवाल की बात तो मतलब भाई हो गया यार, उसको भी अभी 2.5 साल हो गया उसको खेले हुए. But Vihari, that's a fair point, right? It's not like he ever performed poorly. Anything that would warrant for him to be excluded from the side. So how do you look at that?
uh, I'll use this example to just probably point out what I was saying just a while back in terms of what do you expect from a side as a captain and coach. Now you look at England and they've picked people who they want to play a certain way, so it's easier for them to make those calls. Okay, this is why I'm not picking somebody or Rory Burns, but I want to play a Ben Duckett. So that vision is very clear in their heads, and that is why I keep saying it is important to have such visions, because Only then can you be very confident and say that, okay, in India, KS Bharat will be my keeper. Outside, okay, maybe I'll give it to KL. In India, if I want a number six, okay, I have Akshar Patel. Outside, maybe I'll take Hanuma Vihari. This vision has to be very, very clear and evident. I don't think it is. At this point of time in Indian cricket, everything is within that same talent pool. Okay, this is the first player pool that we have. We keep picking from the same box, and as I said, you will always have different metrics for different players. So whether you can call about it for Mayank or Sarfaraz not getting a go, everybody has weakness. Everybody gets shuffled up and down the order. So it's a different debate altogether. But my first pain point is have a strategy. Is your strategy only going to be okay, we'll find a way? Well, no, you're not. So you'll have to really define it for yourself and for the audience as well. Okay, this is how we want to play. Because you look at this entire test match only. The way India batted in the first innings, we felt, okay, you are too aggressive. And in the second one, we all have felt okay, they were too defensive. So I mean, you have to find that balance. It is you have to decide what you want to do.
Interesting, Gurkira. Where do you sort of stand, in this debate in terms of, India not giving too many chances or too long enough a rope for players to groom, to develop, within the setup? Do you think that's a fair sort of point to make, or do you feel, boss, enough chances are being given to our youngsters and all of that?
No, it's been a point of contention for like the last 1 year that we've been talking about, and we've been mentioning that across formats because when India went on to play those test matches in Bangladesh, I clearly remember saying that at the worst India should have selected Sarfaraz in the squad so they can just look at him how he's doing. And you've had the likes of Abhimanyu Iswaran being in and out of the side and not playing, and I felt that in the first test with Jadeja being injured, they should have played him because they clearly showed that they did not have enough trust in Prasidh or Ashwin. And the extra batter might have helped there. You could have played him at number three because, as an opener, you can look, because you had to strengthen the batting anyway. And, we've already seen what has happened in T20s. You've tried out players, but then left them out because the seniors wanted to come back or you thought that they should come back. So it's been something that we have, gone on at length and discussed. And what Rohit said about them not being brave enough, it's not just about today's game. It's been right throughout. You can talk about since the time Rohit took over captaincy in 2021, because whichever player becomes the captain in T20s, they want to prefer choosing to bowl first. Uh, you want to have pitches which are ranked turners so that your spinners can just do the job for you, and then you are also not backing the right players. You are just to when you drop players, you just go back to them when someone's injured because you want to look for experience, which is why I said that I still feel Mohammad Shami and KL Rahul, it's a different format, but both of them can still come back to the T20 side come June, because that is what has been the DNA of this management. They have I felt that till the Asia Cup 2022 they had the right ideas and they were executing it. But once they lost that Asia Cup, all that they've done is that they've looked at one good idea, tried it, but not tried it enough. Like, I remember before the World Cup, Rohit saying, "We tried Akshar Patel at four," but you did that for one game. That doesn't count as an experiment. And there are many other instances you can go through, you will find out. So it's been a DNA of this management. They've looked to try out things. The first moment it has not worked, they have deserted that option and gone back to the most safest thing. What they probably realized that maybe we were a little too aggressive in the first innings. Probably they could have just looked to correct that a little bit more, because conditions did get tougher too bad. But they thought, okay, maybe that did not work out with us, we'll go the exact 180-degree, and that also did not work out. So now you have nowhere to go but to prepare a rank turner, and then hope that your spinners come into the equation and take everything out of the game.
It definitely will be difficult, and a lot of people are talking about changes that could potentially happen. And with regards to that, let's take this comment from Rajesh. He goes on to ask, "Is there any chance for Rajat Patidar to make his India debut in Test cricket?" Nikhil, in terms of changes, of course, a lot of names being thrown around. Rajat should come in, Sarfraz should come in, Kohli should come in as soon as possible. Who do you think could potentially be handed a Test debut if you had to pick one?
At this point of time, I don't see any change in for the next game, because you also have to look at it from a larger point of view that if you drop Gill after one game, I don't think it speaks well about your confidence and your trust also on the player. So, and it won't look nice or give the other guys that freedom. Okay, so we are also these many failures away from just getting dropped. So I think that is something that you'd not want. With Siraj, I think they really have to decide when they want to use him and how much should have you to be trusting them. Because the problem with playing that extra spinner and in place of him is also that India, we have felt they've underbowled people in the past. So you have to be really very sure what is it that you want to get out from Siraj, and then you play him. Else you play that extra option of Kuldeep if the surface is like that. So that is the two things that I think, two spots where there could be debates. And yeah, if Gill is dropped, then of course you'd say, "Ki bhai, Rajat, if he's there in the squad, you should play." But then Kohli will definitely come back for the third one. So how much are you going to gain from just one game there?
Fair enough. Gurkit, what about you? Where do you stand when it comes to this? Like, do you see any changes being made, or do you want them to stick to the same 11 for the time being?
I think they should. The only change that I see can happen is if they look to drop Gill and play Patidar. I was of the opinion that I think that if he doesn't get a score by the second test, he would get dropped. But at this point of time, he doesn't seem to be in any sort of confidence. And sometimes just giving that player a break can work out well for him. I am not in favor of India playing four spinners because I am very, very certain that one of them will get underbowled. If anything, it will stop the captain from giving or trusting a spinner even more and giving them a longer spell. And why that can have a even bigger impact is because if you are playing four spinners, you can expect the pitch to be a rag turner. And when that happens, you really don't have much of a room for any bowler to err at all. Now you say you throw Kuldeep the ball, 3 overs, he's gone for 20 runs. Now this is a 250 or a 300 game. He's gone for 20 runs. As a captain, you are thinking, oh, I have three other options. Let me throw the ball to them. You will keep doing that. And the whole purpose of playing an extra spinner will get defeated. And I think I don't have numbers for it, but we can go back and look at teams that have played four spinners and see, what has been the proportion of bowling that has been done by the fourth spinner. We have seen even the third spinner not bowl enough. So I'm not in favor of playing the fourth spinner. You can play the same team. The only question mark over someone's spot that I see right now is Shubman Gill, and that is if you want to play Rajat Patidar. And to some extent, uh, questions need to be asked of Shreyas Iyer as well because even though he's had a good record in Asia, his numbers versus Australia recently in South Africa and now this Test match have not been great. You know, in the last few Test matches, and you'd expect better from him because he has that game. Today also, I felt that it was a very random or a nothing sort of a dismissal from Shreyas because he has the capability to attack Leach or maybe even just find a way to score runs because he's done that in the past. So
Fair point that, and since we are already talking about what can happen potentially in the second test match, that's already signs that we should probably go to the second segment, which of course is what's next. So the second test match begins from the 2nd of Feb, and it is happening in Vizag, a neighboring state, so to say, of Telangana, Hyderabad, all of that. So fairly close by geographically. Nikhil bhai, let's start with you. We of course spoke about potential changes and how if necessary, then yeah, if they are thinking of dropping Gill, then probably Rajat sort of comes in there at number 3, and Siraj could potentially go out. But Gurkir has already, mentioned that he's not a fan of the four spinner theory. Where do you stand when it comes to that? Do you think we should go for a fourth spinner instead of Siraj, or are you happy replacing him with another pacer?
I think my answer eventually is still same in terms of the fear that one of them will get underboard. But if it's a rank turner and if you're not going to use Siraj, then I would rather even take those 3 overs of Kuldeep over those 3 overs of Siraj, क्योंकि potentially शायद वहाँ पे ज़्यादा chance create हो. So that is the only logic there. So if it's a spin deck, then I think that is probably the way to go there. In terms of batting, I don't think there should be any changes as of now. Maybe after the second test, and With Gill, I think the pressure will be immense on him to come good. So I'm hoping for that guy in terms of from a personal point of view that he gets a score in. And even if you want to say that okay, he doesn't get a good score and then he's dropped, I just want him to get some score and that some confidence that okay, I know I'll get better and I'll find my own way, but you'll need something there because you cannot really go into the third test with Kohli coming back with a guy on debut playing just one test. I think it will just make it too much for England to really lap up with their positive and ultra aggressive options that they have. So I think that is also something that's very crucial. They will. If I'm not sure, we heard a lot of sledging also when Shreyas was batting there. So things are not going to be forgotten for anybody who's playing this series. So as of now, same side.
Fair enough. Things definitely won't be forgotten. Shreyas Australia series में था क्या? Asks Paris नहीं था. He was injured, if I'm not wrong, right?
No, he was. He did not play the first test, which is why Surya Kumar Yadav made his debut. Played the second, played the third. In the fourth test, India batted only once, and I don't think he came out to bat because he
Yeah,
had
of
that
course.
back spasm.
Correct. That was the Ahmedabad one, right? The four
Yeah,
test that you're referring.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
fair
sleeping
enough.
beauty.
Yep. And Santosh Udapa goes on to say, water will be abandoned for all purposes at Vizag building up to the test match. In fact, we were also making fun of it. I sort of said, a bonfire will be lit up in the middle of the pitch before the Vizag test match begins. Having seen how historically, BCCI or whoever you want to point this out or call out have functioned when it comes to losing their first game, I know we can expect something like this, but yeah, let's hope that that isn't going to be the case with this management. Rajesh goes on to ask, Akshay, is anyone coming for the Vizag Test match from the CDC team? Uh, as far as I know, it's only going to be Basta who will be in the press box, performing writing duties. From the video team, I don't think we'll have anyone going to Vizag right now. It's a fair distance from Bangalore, so it won't be easy for us to sort of have someone sent over there. Let's hope that we are able to cover more test matches. It's been great fun for sure. Gurkirat, same question to you. Second test match, Vizag. Expecting any changes? I know you've already spoken about what sort of changes you don't want to happen, in terms of sudden chopping and changing and all of that. But keeping Vizag, the venue, in mind, do you see any changes potentially being made? Like Nikhil Bhai said, Kuldeep for Siraj, for example.
Yeah, I agree with what he said that okay, maybe his 3 or 4 overs could be far more valuable in that regard. And the only change or that I see is up for contention is Shubman Gill's spot. But I'm okay either way how that goes. I think you can take the player into confidence and talk to him because just the way he's batted in this test match, it did not look like he had any confidence. So that is far more concerning for me than anything else because see, very few batters have a perfect technique. You have to find a way to score runs regardless of how your technique is. In this test match, Shuman Gill did not look like that. He
Yeah,
felt
yeah.
that he could dominate bowlers. So he just felt like he's batting into in a shell of some kind. So if that is the case, maybe then you can look to give Patidar a debut. But again, what Nikhil said that if he has a good game and Shreyas doesn't have a good game, then you what do you do then? Do you drop Shreyas and do you stick with Patidar and have Kohli at 4, KL at 5? So it's a difficult one to answer. You'd hope that the pitch is more like the one that was there for the test match versus South Africa in 2019 and not the one that was there versus England in 2016 because the one that was there in 2016 it had turned from day one and for some reason that pitch unlike other Indian pitches, did not become slower. It became progressively faster with the ball turning and turning very quickly. Here the turn was there, but it was turning slow off the pitch. So let's see. Should be I still believe that if there is no tampering or anything, it should be a good pitch to bat on at least in the first innings because that has been the case otherwise with Vizag. So let's see.
Interesting. So it's also time for both of you to make some predictions now. Second test, A, the result. B, how do you see this panning out? 2-day test, like some say, or a 3-day test, or potentially even a 5-day test. What do you think is happening?
5-day test matches are a luxury now. Let's put it that way. You can have what sort of pitch you want, but 5 days test matches are a luxury. Uh, I I expect India to come back hard. I expect someone to really one of the batters to put their hand up and take the opposition bowling by the scruff of its neck, and that innings turning out to be a real differentiator. Could be Rohit repeating, his 161 in Chennai in 2021. Could be very well possible. That is something that Rohit could do it, or I genuinely see someone doing it. And yeah, the 2 days test matches are also not happening, somewhere between 3 and 4.
Playing it safe there. Nikhil bhai, what about you in terms of result? And of course, how do you see this panning out?
I think even for the series result in terms of narratives, you'd want it to be 1-all. Just builds it up nicely for a 5 match crescendo. So that probably 3-day test because England are going to play the same way, and they should. They at least know how they want to play, and they are confident enough to back it. So 3-day test there, and India hopefully does win. And yes, as Paji said, I'm very torn between wanting a opener batting deep kind of a template. I want a very good team performance, which you almost felt it was coming after the first innings, but it did not. I just hope India find a way to dominate for a longer period of time and have more options. So, sort of greedy there. Sorry.
Interesting. I, for one, actually want England to go 2-0 up. Hear
How
me. Hear me.
surprising!
Hear me
How
first. See, the reason I say that is India winning the series is inevitable. वो तो होने ही वाला है. So at least 2-0 होगा तो 4 टेस्ट मैच तक कम से कम कुछ रहेगा. नहीं तो सीधा 4 टेस्ट मैच के एंड में 3-1 हो जाएगा. Then we'll basically this way we'll have only one dead rubber. If India win the second test match, rest assured the fourth and the fifth test both will be dead rubbers according to me. So I for one I'm
So
hoping
basically, you want a 2005 redux by saying that this should be one of the greatest series played of all time. ठीक है.
Exactly. See, हम
Let's
हमेशा
go that
long
way.
term सोचते हैं, एकदम long term. I'm learning how to play 6D chess. Learning from the
And
best, of course, both
you're
of you.
also wanting eyeballs, just like many people. It's okay.
Agar, if it does indeed become 2-0, don't step out of your house or the
नहीं
seat.
नहीं.
Take work from home. कोई ना कोई पकड़ के मारेगा.
No, that's the beauty. The reason I'm confidently making these predictions are starting second test match. अवनीश यहाँ पे होगा. मैं तो WPL पे focus करूंगा. तो भाई बिंदास बोलूंगा. हाँ 2-0 हो जाएगा. अरे हाँ ऑली पोप ये करेगा. अरे बेन स्टोक्स वो कर देगा. सब बोल के मैं focus करूंगा. Come on Smithy, let's go for the win. Anyways, it is of course time for us to move to the last segment, which of course is Googly. Yep, yesterday this was the question asked to you guys. Ashwin had dismissed Stokes yesterday for the 12th time in tests. The joint most for any Indian bowler against the particular batter, which is the other bowler batter combination with 12 dismissals. The answer to that, of course, was Kapil Dev, who's dismissed Mudassar Nazar 12 times. A lot of interesting, suggestions, interesting responses came in yesterday. But of course, the correct answer is Kapil Dev, Mudassar Nazar, and Vishal Kulkarni was the one with the right answer. So, congratulations to you, Vishal. And since this is the last day, and we'll only be coming back to the segment 5 days from now, so I thought I'll add another googly to the already googly segment. कि boss, इस बार जो भी question पूछूंगा for the final day, you'll have to answer it on the live chat. So it'll be interesting to see if any of you know the answer to this one. So there you go. This is the question for the day. Ollie Pope missed the 200 by just 4 runs. And only two batters have scored a 200 in the second innings against India in India. Who are they? So that's a question for you guys. 200 in the second innings against India in India. Who are the two batters to have done so? And when we say second innings here, we're talking about the team's second innings, which is basically the third or the fourth innings of the game. So yeah, there you go. Have at it. Let us know if you know the answers. We'll wait for some time as much as possible. But yeah, coming back, Gurkirat, Nikhil, both of you, of course. Do you have any answers for this?
I've been thinking. I saw when it came on the content group. I've been thinking, but all the names that came to my mind were those who had done it in the first innings. Second innings, though, yeah, there's only been one name, but both I think is a little obvious. But the other name I've been struggling to find out.
एक सिमिलर वेन्यू हैदराबाद पे था क्या मैकलम वाला?
मैकलम वाला मैं सोच रहा हूँ. I'm clueless. I'm genuinely clueless. So आप बताइए. Dean
I
Jones,
don't know.
Shubham Chaturvedi, interesting one. That's if I'm not wrong, the Chennai Test 1984,
Yeah,
85, where he was sweating, he vomited, he puked.
yeah.
Interesting shout. Paris goes on to say Amla. Very interesting shout once again. The thing is, I'm also going through a lot of comments. Just yeah, it's almost it's almost bizarre. It ranges from such a wide range of spectrum that we don't know what to make of it. On the one hand, some of them are labeling us, "अरे यार, इंडिया को ऐसे बोलते हैं." The others are like, "अरे भाई, इंग्लैंड को भी बोलो यार, इंग्लैंड ने ये किया वो किया." Joe Root and Steve Smith goes on to say Kushal Shah. Interesting shout, but I don't think neither of them have scored a double century in the second innings. जो रूट का भी फर्स्ट इनिंग्स में ही था. एंड स्टीव स्मिथ इन इंडिया डबल सेंचुरी मारा है क्या? मैं तो पहले वो सोच रहा था. तो
नहीं, डबल नहीं है.
वही भाई. Interesting. I'll let you
Mm,
guys, let us know the answers in the main comment section. If no one gets the right answers in the live chat, I'm willing to wait for that because as I realized, I myself don't know the answers. So I'll have my man help me out with this. Clearly, like I've said, boss, T20 मेरा है भाई. Test cricket ये सब तो अपने को ज़्यादा पता नहीं होता. Introspect, meanwhile, we'll just take this one last comment before we wrap this up. Klusner on debut in 1996 took an 8-wicket haul in Kolkata, and now Hartley, a rookie county spinner, took a 7-wicket haul. 100% यार, मतलब क्या बोले अभी. It is true. In fact, there's Klusner, there's Todd Murphy as well, there's Jason Krejza,
too
and
many.
sorry.
There are too many now in terms of debutants doing well against India. It's become a ritual more than a surprise.
100%, 100%. In fact, I remember the joke being made कि भाई कोई इंडिया के अगेंस्ट डेब्यू करने वाला है. अरे हाँ, कोहली का विकेट तो we know now who is Kohli going to make look. I mean, who is Kohli going to make look like
Look,
oldie था. भाई साहब भाई, ये इंग्लिश बहुत ही मतलब कॉम्प्लिकेटेड सब्जेक्ट है. Let's yeah.
yeah.
Anyways, it is
I
time
think
for us to
Indian team will feel the very same way. England is a very complicated subject.
100%. That's true. That's true. And meanwhile, of course, thank you so much, Santosh Udpa, with the right answer. It, of course, is Brendan McCullum in
Acha.
Hyderabad. Nikhil bhai, तो आप ये तो आपका सही था. And it is also 232. एक तो भाई कितने साल क्या क्या चल रहा है? Okay. I get the spacing right now. 225 for McCullum and 232 for Andy Flower in Nagpur against India in 2000. Those are the right answers. Congratulations. And oh yeah. No worries, Greg. आपको भी shout out मिलेगा. You were the one who said it first. Sorry. थोड़ा slip हो गया वहाँ पे. Congratulations, Greg. Congratulations, Santosh, on getting the answers right. And on that cue, it is time for us to wrap the review of this match as well. It's been great bringing this early to you. Feb 2nd is when the second test match begins. Avnish will be back here with Gurkirat and Nikhil to talk about that game and how that pans out. Until then, it's a goodbye from all of us. Have a great day. Good night.
Cheers.